إني ألقى الإيناس في صومي وصلاتي ودعائي للرحمن وجميع الطاعات.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونتوكل عليه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله وبعد. Today we're going to speak about death. This is what the brothers, the organizers, have told me to speak about. So I'm going to honor that inshallah and speak about death. Let's get to the stage of death. Death happens. As we said, the atheist, in his mind frame, he has no explanation for why we're alive. He doesn't know. So if you ask him, how do we die? He's going to give you a biological answer. Oh, you know, the heart stops. Okay. Thank you very much. We know that happens. But is there anything else that happens? No, we don't know. Okay, well, let me tell you then, right? The answer is this, that consciousness is explained through ar-ruh. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, they ask you about the soul. Say the soul is from the decree of your Lord. And you won't know, you won't be given of knowledge of it except for a little bit. Yeah? So in other words, the reason why we're alive is because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us a soul, which was breathed into us in our infant stages when we're in the mother's womb. Now, what is this extraction then that takes place at death? How does it take place? And then what would happen when you die, physically speaking and metaphysically speaking? The extraction process is a process which everybody will feel. The ruh will be extracted from the human being. The ruh, the soul, will be taken away from the human being, extracted from the human being. And when that happens, the human being will enter a different realm. Just as when he sleeps, he can dream and think about and taste new things. Just like that, the human being will move into من الحياة الدنيا إلى الحياة البرزخية, from the worldly life to the barzakh life. Yeah. So what is this barzakh life? What's going on? Okay, let's talk about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a surah most of you know, An-Nazi'at, he talks about An-Nazi'at. Now, a lot of the Mufassirun, they say Al-Nazi'at are the angels that take away your soul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Qiyamah, in the 75th surah of the Quran, He says, كلا إذا بلغت التراقي وقيل من راق. That when the soul reaches at-taraqi, which is where the halq is. You know, the halq is this part. Taraqi is عظام الحلق, which means the throat. Now just imagine for a second that the human being, the soul of the human being, is ascending upward. Yes? There's something that that human being is feeling. Where there is an ascension, you feel something moving up your body. And it reaches the throat. Just think about how that will feel. وَظَنَّ أَنَّهُ الْفِرَاقَ. The person who is dying, at that rate, that person will know, the Quran says, that this is the separation. Al-firaq means the separation, meaning from this world. That person, when the soul, this thing they denied, this thing they didn't want to take into consideration, it reaches up to the throat and he feels it in that area, he will know that this is over. This will happen to you. This will happen to me, and this will happen to our parents. وَالْتَفَّتِ السَّاقُ بِالسَّاقِ. We fast forward now. The human being is shrouded. As-saq is the calf. The calves or the legs are put together, are bundled, are shrouded. They are bundled. Every human being will be in that state. We might have to witness our parents in that state, or our children in that state. We don't know who will come first. We may have already witnessed this. That human being that was walking around, either in arrogance or in joyfulness or whatever kind of demeanor that human being had, joking, laughing, smiling, eating, sleeping, waking up, going to school, coming back, memories. That human being now has died. And that human being will be you and me. The human being will be shrouded into a white garment, will be washed. The human being will be washed. And do you know what happens when they wash the human being? They must ensure that the anus of that human being has something inside of it, like a cotton wool or something, so things don't come out of him. And they will close his eyes or her eyes. They will wash that human being. That human being will be carried by people. That human being cannot do anything anymore. The food that that human being ate, the drink that that human being drank, everything that human being did is not going to help that human being unless it's good deeds. This is what happens to humans. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He continues. He says, إِلَىٰ رَبِّكَ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْمَسَاقَ. That human being is heading now to his Lord. But then he describes the archetypal kafir, the disbeliever, and he tells us, فَلَا صَدَّقَ وَلَا صَلَّى. He didn't give charity. He didn't pray. وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى. But he lied and he turned away. He said there's no such thing as the afterlife. He denied the ruh. He denied the hereafter. He denied the hellfire and the heaven and Allah even. He even denied his own self. This human being depended upon materialism to live. It let him down in this world, made him depressed. And no doubt it let him down once again. And then Allah asks the human being now some questions. Because He says, فَلَا صَدَّقَ وَلَا صَلَّى وَلَكِنْ كَذَّبَ وَتَوَلَّى ثُمَّ ذَهَبَ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ يَتَمَطَّى أَوْلَى لَكَ فَأَوْلَى. Then he used to go back to his family boasting. This human being, he thinks he's, this believer, he thinks he's got the answers. The atheist, he might think he has the answers. So he goes back to his family talking about, look at these people, they're going to pray, he's boasting. Talking to his family, he thinks he knows the answer. He thinks he knows. There's no answers anymore. He has no more answers. There's no answer. What answer? And you're dead. You're finished. There's no arguments you can make. There's no arguments. No one's going to hear your arguments at this stage. Your arrogance has not helped you in this stage. He went back to his family in boastfulness, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, أيحسب الإنسان أن يترك سدى. Does human being think that he will be left aimless? Suda bila hadafin. Suda means like no objective. Does that human being actually presume that with all of his faculties and intelligence and the perfect design around him and all of this, that for him was just a aimless life? أَلَمْ يَكُنْ نُطْفَةً مِّن مَّنِيٍّ يُمْنَىٰ. Was he not a sperm dropped which was emitted? Think about it. We all started as a despised fluid. Something people have a wet dream, wash it off. You started like that and I started like this. Despise, something you want to get off your clothes. Something not clean, Although from a fiqh perspective there may be some difference of opinion on that. But you started off in that way. You started off as nothing. This arrogant guy walking around, God doesn't exist and I don't know, I don't believe in God, I'm not really religious. You were a sperm. Do you remember that? I mean, you were a sperm. You were water, fluid. How could it be that you transformed from watery fluid to what you are now, and you're questioning the transformation and the one who made the transformation happen? This guy or this girl, she doesn't have that self-recognition clearly, yeah? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that after that He created the human being like that, أَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَىٰ أَن يُحْيِيَ الْمَوْتَى. Is that same Lord that created you from a sperm not able to revive you after you are dead, or revive the dead, generally speaking? Why not? How does that even make sense? But we know from the hadith of Bara ibn Azib, which is narrated in Ahmad. I think it's definitely a sahih hadith, and it's a very long hadith which I cannot basically narrate to you all today. But basically it's a hadith which says that there was a man from the Ansar who died, and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he went, and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they went with him, and then the Prophet started to describe to us what happens when you're in the qabr, when you're in the grave. Because now the virtual reality has changed. Now your life and the dimensions of your life and your functionality as a human being, all of that has transformed. Now you're entering a different world, and Allah has revealed to us through His Messenger what kind of world that is. So He says to us that when the human being tells us first how the human being's soul is extracted. And the human being's soul is extracted in two different ways, depending upon what kind of human being he is. So the human being, if he's a good human being, a salih, it will be something very gentle. And this does not negate the fact that the Prophet told us, إِنَّ لِلْمَوْتِ لَسَكَرَاتٍ, that for death there are pangs of death. Human beings will face some kind of pangs. And it does not also negate the fact that when the human being is in the qabr, that there will be some kind of daghta, which is some kind of pressure that would be put on him, or some kind of dhamma, or referred to as some kind of pressure. He will feel a kind of pressure in the first instance. But when the human being's soul is extracted, you can imagine now, the soul is extracted, we explained how. Then afterwards, the human being will be placed in the grave. And the two angels will descend, Munkar and Nakir, and these two angels will ask the questions. Now I've skipped through some of the things that are being said, like the fact that the record will be checked and it will go up to Aliyun and for the good people and Sijjin and all of this. But let's get to the core of it. Basically, the two angels will ask three fundamental questions. And everybody here should know what they are. And the first question is, who is your Lord? And so the person who practiced Tawheed, the person who didn't forget his roots, his fitrah, because every human being is كُلُّ مَوْلُودٍ يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ. Every human being that's born, he's born on the fitrah. The person who remembered the purpose of life and practiced the purpose of life, this human being will answer Allah. Whether he's illiterate, he doesn't understand or whatever, he will yet answer Allah. And the second question that will be asked is, what is your religion? And that the person who lived according to the laws of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who submitted his will to Allah, he will reply Islam. But wait a minute, the disbeliever here will have a good time. He'll say, listen, what about those individuals that didn't hear about your Prophet and that didn't know anything about anything? Are you telling me they're going to go to hell? I say, hold on, I didn't say anything yet of that nature. Let's proceed to the third question and I'll come back to that objection. The third question is, who is that man that was sent to you, or who is the Prophet? And so the Muslims will reply according to their time. So we will say Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. People of Jesus, they'll say Jesus. And they will not answer Allah when they are asked who was your Jesus, when they ask who is your Lord. They will not answer that. So they will answer Jesus. Or it could be Abraham, or it could be Moses, or whatever. And we know, just to go back to what we were saying, that those people who have not been received a message, or that the message may have been distorted or something, faraway land, the ulama, they call these people min ahlul fitra. Fitra bil ta, laysa bil ta. So it's or fatra, yeah? Fatra is the time period, min ahlul fatra. Fatra, so these people, because there's a verse in Surah Al-Ma'idah, and that says that Allah sent the Prophet, is like in a fatra, which means an inqita' period, like the time where there's no prophets. After that period, the Prophet came. So in other words, from that, some people like Ibn Kathir and Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya, others, they say that if the person has not received the message, they may be given a trial independently on the Day of Judgment. So it's not like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is unjust. He doesn't know these realities of people's environments. He will trial people in accordance with their environment. You see? So it's not like that. We don't believe in, oh, this person has not heard of, in Africa or something like that. It's not like this. But let's go back to what we were talking about. After that, then you have, for the person who is pious, literally, you have a kind of realization of where they're going to go afterwards. They know what's going to happen to them, which is good things. And so they want the Day of Judgment to come. And those individuals who don't have that, and they realize what they have done and where they stand, those particular individuals, they will have the opposite reaction. They will hope never to ever wake up from their sleep or their slumber. Never to be reawoken, revitalized, rejuvenated. Never to be reassembled. But that is, of course, what would happen. What will happen. Now,